by what we're doing right now, making a podcast and casting out a different voice onto the internet instead of all the like main social media. I definitely think we're creating a new voice, and the people who want to see this and wanna like gain knowledge will definitely look into this, and those who aren't ready yet will not probably not find it. You know what I'm saying? I think the youth is less disciplined than the older people, because we grow up with these memes and these short videos, and like we can only watch a video for 10 seconds, because after the 10 seconds we get bored and we swipe again, and we see another video and we see another meme for 2 seconds, and then we get bored again. So like our concentration, it gets like less and less and less and less. And I can see that in my own life. Like back in the day when I used to go to school, I could read books. I mean, like I still can, but it's different now because I'm like used to this social media, these social media platforms such as Instagram. We just scroll and watch videos. But I definitely think most people are less disciplined now, and they can't hold their concentration as long as they used to. For some people, it's hard. I think the pattern is just on, especially on social media. I think it's people reacting to each other constantly, over and over and over, just reacting to each other, and there's gonna be no stop. Like there's gonna be no stop, and that's why people need to see that it's not about everybody around us, but it's about us. You know, we need to learn to love and to live. You know, so we can help other people. You can only help other people by helping yourself first. You gotta always put yourself in the first place. But I think most people on social media, they're just trying to like, let's say people are just trying to gain likes because they want other people to see them as their number one, you know. But it's important you see yourself as number one. That's why likes and followers and stuff, it's not important. But to some people that are in this illusion, it's very crucial. Apparently, I mean, like we live with those people, so we gotta understand them, and I do understand them in a certain way. But I'm aware that I don't want to be that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think we should start off with what really is music. I think we can view music in a lot of ways. I think certain tones do something with the human mind, like frequencies, frequencies. But I think also words. Words have a certain how would I say it? The words influence the mind in some way. And then I also think music changes our mood. Let's say if we listen to party music all day long, then at the end of the day, what do we want to do? If we listen to all that music, we want to party, of course. But if we listen to music about people, I don't know, let's say rapping about killing themselves, or being depressed, being anxious, at the end of the night, how do we feel? We feel anxious because the music does something with our mind. You need to be careful with what type of music you surround yourself with, and not only music, also people. If you are surrounded by a lot of toxic people, eventually you will become toxic yourself because it will eat you. So that's why I try to surround myself with people that love me and people that have good intentions.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Common Underground Podcast. I'm your host, Jasper Rodenhuis. And today, our guest is Hielke. Hielke is a friend of mine in the Netherlands. He's an upcoming, traveler, I would say, because he's orientating towards traveling right now. And he's currently in Lisbon.
Yes,
We
sir.
met in the same restaurant, we all. Chair to share as well, by the way, for people.
Hello, everybody.
Hmm. So yeah, like we went in the same restaurant I was saying, and we used to work together. I knew Hielke from my youth, and he always had a very big imagination. That is something that I remember from him. But yeah, for the rest, what else would you tell about yourself, Hielke? That would be important to mention.
Yes, thank you very much, Jesper. Right now I'm in Lisbon. That's right. I'm working here for a year. I reached out to a company online if they had like a job for me because it's like kind of hard to get a job now because lots of people are losing their jobs to the pandemic, of course. But yeah, they said they had a job for me, and I moved here now. I've been here for around 2 weeks now. I'm still in training. I'm training as content moderator for TikTok, but I didn't really move here for the job, but just to like see the city and get to know the history of this city, which is nice.
So you
Uh,
said you're a content moderator for TikTok?
Yep, that's right.
Oh wow.
well,
That's
all right,
right.
all
You
right.
like
So
that job?
Do I like it? Well, I mean, it's okay to do, but it's not like not really like a mind-opening job, like an eye-opening job. It's just part of the system, you know. So it's just a job to earn money, so I can stay in a foreign country because that's what I've always wanted is to see the world because only this planet is already pretty big, you know, and I wanna see all this planet.
hmm. Yeah, so you're being exploring now more in on a physical realm, but I know that from a few years ago, you really like changed your mind and you're looking more deeper into some research, and I could call you like a starting researcher or yeah, somebody that's interested in similar fields than what we're discussing on this podcast. And we talked in earlier before that we did the podcast on different subjects, and you know we can talk about many interesting things, and I eventually said like it should be would be nice if there would be a balance between relevancy and potentiality. So something that we both came on was the mental health of the youth in this generation, in the times that we're in. And I think like most of our viewers would be fitting into this category of being from the youth. And I have a lot of personal encounters with people from my age being here. Still in the Corona pandemic, you're not allowed to go to parties or go to big events. Maybe in a limited sense, like if there's only a few people, it is allowed. But still, I meet a lot of people that partying and yeah, they're like meeting up and people drink a lot of alcohol. People do a lot of drugs and all that stuff, which a lot of you do. We all did, I guess. And it's excuse me, it's a part of our growing up phase. But why would you be? What drew you to this? To this? Why would you think this is important to talk about, Yoga?
I think it's important to talk about because if you see nowadays, so many people around us are either depressed or they have anxiety or whatever mental health illness they have. I think it's important to discuss and to talk about because it plays a big part in our life, you know. And for me personally, I can tell I've been depressed like a year and a half, and I didn't really know what to do with my life. And like I think that's where my like research journey started because like as I said, I didn't really know what was the purpose of life, you know. I was just everything I did was go to school, work, and then I looked at the bigger picture and I was like, am I really gonna just work for like the rest of my life? And doesn't make sense to me, you know. And that's when I like tapped into research, started off on conspiracies. I think that's where most of the people start research, and then I think the last year I tapped into like the laws of the universe, other important stuff, but also kind of like see the world around me in a different view, and then especially on like social media, which influences the youth so immensely. Like people just all they do is react to each other constantly in an online world, which is not even the physical world, you know. And people get so like how should I say it? Like I think the biggest thing that feeds our ego is social media. I don't know if you guys can agree on that, but like social
Yeah,
media, some people they just sit inside and play video games, or they just swipe on Instagram all day long, and they're like they don't really, well, I wouldn't say they don't really have a life, because they do have a life, but they're not doing anything like important with it, you know.
yeah, for sure. Chad, you
I
want to say
think
something?
that social media has to do with the interaction that we have with other people, and that is the largest factor influencing our ego is other people.
Yeah,
Definitely,
I would
definitely.
also add like our interaction with the internet is really not that well understood. Like how big of an impact this really makes. Like I've been noticing here, like people have so different views and they base their views on what they've heard, but it's very difficult for people to really pinpoint what is the source of why they're thinking the way they do. And there are so many different ideologies passed on by the internet, by social media. There's a documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma. I haven't seen it, but I heard many people that did. And the things that they
Yes,
said
I've seen
there,
half of it.
something, sorry, that's something that I said years ago as well. That, you know, what you get to feed into these loops, these algorithms. People are like giving us information based upon our own preferences. And so you got a feedback loop, and yeah, you stagnate.
Yeah,
So,
man,
sorry.
it's weird how these big companies, they just look at our online social behavior, and they measure it, and they store it somewhere to sell that information, so other companies and other platforms can use that to like, I would say keep us in there, but to like get us on the platform, you know, by they keep giving us new, yeah, for example, for on TikTok, they keep giving us new videos to watch based on what we like and who we follow, you know. But I wouldn't say social media is only bad. Definitely not. I think you can use it in a bad way, by like, there's people that just go on Instagram and they comment bad stuff on their people's videos or photos or whatever.
Hielke,
You
have you seen The Social Dilemma?
I've seen it, half of it, not the whole documentary.
Okay, that's the same for me. I actually also clocked out halfway through. It's actually very scary, I think, and you're getting at a good point there, because social media, it's not all bad, and I do
Oh,
think that
definitely.
it definitely it fosters a sense of community. People get express their own voice. They actually have a voice for the first time ever, and it's easier than ever before to reach a massive audience in a very short amount of time. And it's interesting
Definitely.
because in my profession, this is actually how we make money. And as a marketer, I actually, on behalf of my customers, pay platforms like Facebook, which own Instagram and WhatsApp and a whole bunch of other stuff. Uh, I pay them so that I get access to their data, because I want to make sure, for example, that my client is writing is writing books about carpentry, that it's only shown to people who like carpentry on Facebook.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm wasting my advertising budget. And so I need Facebook as my partner to make sure that I get this ad in front of people that are actually going to like it. But it creates this interesting atmosphere where your data is very valuable, but you're not getting paid anything for it. And it's because these platforms are free. We're on social media and we're not paying for it. We're spending a lot of time on there, but because I'm paying for it, you're the product. As a marketer, I'm paying for it and I'm buying you.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a like the problem comes when you're like spreading with the products. I can imagine like you just need to sell your products, but with ideas it's a lot worse, because like this is what happens on YouTube, where there's all these internet gurus that talk about many different things like self-development, but also conspiracy theories, new age we talked about, and conspiracy to a part as well in previous episodes. There's like a lot of feedback loops. So something that is in philosophy very important is that you have access to an eclectic array of sources. So not just sources that are all fit into one category, for example, biology, but you also look at some other fields and look at correspondences, yes, between these fields, and also between different ideas. And you something that I always find very important is validation or experimentation. Implementation is things that you can don't have to accept based on someone else's words, but you can actually apply it and experience it, and by that you are not reliant on believing anyone else, because that's the last thing that I want people on this platform or wherever else is doing, is that they just instantly believe someone else viewpoint. And I think that this touches on what we want to discuss, is that the mental health of our youth is really infantile. We're not taught how to handle knowledge, something that the ancients knew in classical education with the seven liberal arts, is that we were taught the trivium system. This is some of the first things that I teach my students on my pre-apply, is that they know how to handle knowledge. They know how the intellect works. And this is only a bridge point to other fields. But because we didn't get taught how to think and how to handle knowledge, we are put into a big soup of many different ideas, but we just grab onto them because we don't know anything else that we can hold on to. And then it's just your viewpoint is just based upon what you're exposed to, and that is very limited because it's only feed it into this loop. So what do you think about that, Hielke? Does it spark something?
Definitely, like what we just talked about, like the algorithms. We just like this information and these things. They just get thrown at us constantly, over and over and over. And like I think um, most people like like let's say for instance like my mom, she's older than me, she's on the social media, but she didn't grow up with it. And like the youth right now, they're growing up with it. You see 6 7 year old kids who already have like a phone, you know. So they grow up in this online social world, which is um to me it's pretty scary, you know, because back in the days, all of us, we used to like play outside with our friends, but nowadays they want to like stay inside and play video games with their friends over the internet. And I think it's just for most people it's dangerous. Not for all people, but for most people, definitely. And I think by what we're doing right now, making a podcast and casting out a different voice onto the internet instead of all the like main social media, I definitely think we're creating a new voice, and the people who want to see this and wanna like gain knowledge will definitely look into this, and those who aren't ready yet will not probably not find it. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. No, it's very interesting how our generation is influenced by mainstream media, and that because they're so like attached to their phones and to technology. It's difficult for people to be alone, for example, or just spending time by themselves. They have boredom. Like here, I'm with very creative people, but they lack a lot of like logic and setting up boundaries. And that's not anything against them. We're all on a learning journey, and for me, it's much more difficult to be creative. But anyway, they because they're creative, that is for them very difficult to hold their point to a certain to focus on a certain point for a longer amount of time. So everything that you can see on the internet as well, like everything right nowadays is just represented by memes, where there's just one picture with like two sentences which explains a certain ideology, and this is how you have to transfer information or knowledge towards other people, because they like this, this the podcast is long term. You have to hold your attention to a conversation, to a dialogue for a longer extent, and only the people that have uh, trained their intellectual mind are capable, because for books and for documentaries or whatever you're engaged in, you have to hold your attention there. And if you're creative,
Yeah,
then, oh, that's interesting, that's interesting, that's interesting. But
definitely.
what about, what's
Are
straight
you?
ahead of you?
I'm sorry, Jasper. Sorry to
Mhm.
interrupt there, but are you trashing memes? Because I love memes. Just to cut in. I think memes are, of course, a whole new language for us to communicate with each other, but it is a limited one. So if you limit yourself to like a lot of meme communication with your friends, it loses a kind of soul.
Yep.
However, I do think it's a great addition to our set of communication tools
Yeah, no,
to really
I'm not
condense an entire idea down into a little square image with two lines, and literally anybody that sees it immediately has the same feeling or the same understanding.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But I wasn't bashing it. It is more. I'm just making a point. Like it's very oversimplified. Like sure, you're creating a symbol, and people can put their imagination and spark and get different things out of it, and they have a certain outline, which are the two sentences. But overall, if you really want to teach a person a certain depth about life, or a certain depth about themselves, how to orientate themselves, or what meanings are of life, or certain interactions with life. I think this is a very shortcoming in just a meme, and for this you need books or podcast or something with a longer duration. But it's interesting because it's so
Music.
different in communication. So
Yes,
it's
definitely.
it has its
Definitely.
both has its ups and downs.
I would say, I don't know if you guys agree on this, but I think the youth is less disciplined than the older people, because we grow up with these memes and these short videos, and like we can only watch a video for 10 seconds, because after the 10 seconds we get bored and we swipe again, we see another video and we see another meme for 2 seconds, and then we get bored again. So like our concentration, it gets like less and less and less and less. And I can see that in my own life. Like back in the day when I used to go to school, I could read books. I mean, like I still can, but it's different now because I'm like used to this these social media platforms such as Instagram. We just scroll and watch videos. But I definitely think most people are less disciplined now, and they can't hold their concentration uh, as long as they used to. For some people, it's hard.
Do you feel, Hilke, like maybe this social media wave that's been passing over us, it is, yeah, how do I put this? It is, yeah, it's damaging to us, but it kind of reads our mind.
Definitely, yeah, that's a good one. That definitely, I think it damages us, but I think there's also benefits because we gain more knowledge, because everything is reachable on the social media. And back in the days, people used to like read a lot of books, but now we can just find anything. You know, we can watch videos, we can read articles, we can watch documentaries, like all sorts of stuff. I'd say it's damaging to some people, but I think That's everybody has to like say that for themselves because um, for me it can be damaging as long as I'm aware that it's damaging me, so I can stop it and like I can like how do I put this like where I know it's damaging me, but it's still good for me because I know when to stop it. For like, let's say when I'm scrolling through Instagram and I'm like consciously seeing what am I doing, I'm just looking at pictures. This is not gonna. I just close the app and I stop, put my phone away, either pick up a book or do something else that's like important to me. So it's I think it's okay to get distracted as long as you are aware that you get distracted.
Yeah.
I think most people aren't aware that they get
Yeah, exactly.
distracted.
Yeah, no, that's a key thing. What you're mentoring. That's my approach in life as well. Like, yeah, Krishnamurti also said like, does even like distraction exist? Because like everything is part of the traction that we're on, and we decide something is a distraction or not. But there is such a thing as procrastination, and if you want to reach a long-term goal, you have to sacrifice a lot of your time and focus on a specific point to ultimately make it there. And it takes away a lot of short-term gratification that people are used to getting, and that has to do with dopamine. Is a very key point here. It makes this chemical in our brain which makes us happy. So we constantly take dopamine, but normally it only got released if we reach a certain goal. So if we did something for a very long time ago, or for a very long time, like if you want to buy a CD, for example, music CD, and you want to buy it and you work for hours and hours and hours, and then finally you have enough money to buy it. I don't know. This must be a very expensive music CD, but anyway, there's like if you just get it from somebody else, you won't appreciate the same music as much because you didn't put in all that work. So I think it's very crucial that you can enjoy yourself, you can take your time off, maybe just go to Instagram, connect with some people on there, sure. But if you don't deserve it, it will just be another reason not just to be comfortable with yourself and trying to reach long-term goals. And I think like some things that I call about boring, something in a state of boringness, I guess, is like if you look at your phone out of boredom, that means that you have an uncomfortability with your soul. So we're constantly trying to escape like who we are because we don't want to confront them ourselves. We don't want to put in the real work. And in alchemy, they call this magnum opus, where the great work is that we have to work on ourselves. And we don't really want that because, we prefer just taking shortcuts. We're lazy, basically, which there's a good laziness and there's a bad laziness. But yeah, I can go with there. But like at
But
least, yeah.
do you think boredom is a real thing? I think boredom is just us avoiding what we are meant to do.
Hmm.
So let's say I need to clean up my room, but it's not like I know it's important to me, but it doesn't give me the dopamine that like let's say social media gives me. So I think it's not boredom, but it's just us trying to um, escape what we're really meant to do. I think that's what that is.
So are these platforms like TikTok or Facebook, Instagram, are they designed to kind of play on this dopamine release and weaponize it in a way to make us addicted?
Definitely, definitely, I'd say so. Yeah, I mean, there's creative people on it that wouldn't say they're leaders, but they're like they're kind of leaders in becoming more creative. And I think if we look at those people, that's good. But there's also people who just they just post bullshit on it, you know. And we just scroll and we keep scrolling and we get more dopamine while we watch. releases more dopamine. So I think that's just a distraction. I definitely think some platforms are designed to distract us. Definitely.
Same with the games that you mentioned, Jasper, that are on our phones, and the things that you start doing when you're bored. You want to actually distract yourself maybe from something that's really bothering you, and it's an escape hatch.
Yeah, let's talk about what do we mean with distraction, because I'm curious if there is even, because like there's like what would we mean if, what do you mean, Hilke, if you use the word distraction? What is this word, do you know?
Distraction for me, distraction is I mean like I think there's always um things we need to do but we aren't aware of. So there's unconscious things that we need to do. And I think there's also conscious things. But once you run out of things you need to do, so let's say like I need to clean my house, I need to clean every room, I need to clean the bathroom. But once I did all that, there's no more things I need to do. So then I'm gonna distract myself with something else. But unconsciously, I there's probably still things to do because maybe you had to like take the trash out because you can never like fully the mind is like a house. You can never fully clean a house. That's not possible.
Have you guys ever, like you, Hilke, for example, ever found yourself needing to study for a test or make a homework assignment, and instead you find yourself cleaning up your whole room and spending all your precious time doing something that you should have done some other time?
You mean? I mean, I would say clean up my room, but for tests, if I need to study, I would just like I never studied for any test. I used to when I was like 14, 15. But after that, I stopped studying because I can't um, study by reading the book. I can only study by listening to what someone else is saying. So I just attend to classes, listen to what the teacher had to say, take that in mind, think about it, and then when we had the test, I've never opened the book, but I still made the test. I still passed the test. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think we can get distracted when we like have to make a test or we have to like practice study for a test. We just get distracted by social media. Definitely,
Yeah.
that's happened to me.
Yeah, I like. I'm still a little bit skeptical if there is even, like, I don't know what, I think you gave a very good explanation on what distraction is. But like, if you look at the Taoism, for example, there is like the sun. We as humans, we already take our ego as a given. We say this is important, this is isn't. This is a top list on my priority, but we already take that list as a given. But in like more Eastern thinking, and also something that Krishnamurti said is like there's a we only do really like where do I base my decision on? Is there even a decision? Is there not just doing? And I think like our journey is about like becoming in a flow state. It's just doing, but not even noticing that you're doing. Like for me, my I think this is something, I mean, in my journey, I'm not always in a flow state, of course, but I'm getting more and more into this flow state because I know that I put normally a lot of energy in resisting. In I think maybe resisting could be attached to distracting as well. Like we're putting our energy in something that we shouldn't, but this resisting, that is really the real distraction. That's really like what's holding our back, because
Hmm.
we have a lot of potential inside of us. But why doesn't this get potentialized? Why isn't it get revealed? Well, that's a question that a lot of people have to ask themselves, because like we all have something. I've been here with like I spent time with rappers, with breakdancers, with many different types of people, but something that you see from them, it's not talent. People say, "Oh, you just have to have talent." No, it's dedication. It's just focusing in and really love what you're doing. And if you're doing it, you don't even noticing that don't have to really put in work. It just goes by itself. But it takes a long, like I'm just saying it very easily, but it takes quite a lot of integration with different fields like time and language and meditation, different aspects that you have to put it together before life gets into this flow state. But if I'm saying that I am in a flow state, that can mean that I will lose the flow state because I realized it, and thereby it's like breathing, like you don't think
Mhm.
about that you're breathing, but you're breathing. But as soon as I think, okay, I'm gonna breathe now, I'm already trying to control my breathing, and that's the same thing that I'm trying to say in this
Yeah,
explanation.
definitely. I can definitely agree on that. Let's say, for example, sometimes I when I like sleeping. I go to bed very late sometimes, but when I wake up at like 11 a.m. and I'm like, I could wake up right now. I've slept enough to like function enough in a day. Sometimes I still catch myself like going back to sleep because I'm just lazy, and I'm like, I'm just wasting my time here. So sometimes I just snap out of that, wake up, do my thing, either meditate or make food or do something important with my time, and definitely think that's important.
What
Very important. I would agree.
what
First morning ritual. You meditate. Is that what you said?
Yeah, 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 I do try to do short meditation at least once a day if that's possible.
Yeah, I do the same thing, but that's very important. I like some of the things that I do every day is a very small thing. Just put my right hand on my chest and say with love, and put my left hand on my intestines and say without fear. And I just stand for with this for according to where the sun is rising, and just for as long as I want. There's no like set limitation, but just a few seconds or a minute, and I just hold on to the space, and then all right, I release it. This is what I bring with the rest of my day. And then everything starts. It's a very small thing. You just have to stand outside and hold two hands in there, but it has a profound effect. And that's some things that I was trying to say. Like, this is something we have to integrate into our life that will become more ritualistic, more ceremonial. And then everything becomes in this flow state because we're not. We are aware that this life is not settled around us, but it's settled something much bigger than us, and by ceremony we're reminding ourselves. And I would say that meditation isn't necessarily a ceremony, but it is becoming aware of going beyond yourself. It is kind of a form of ceremony, and this is something that we talked on in a previous episode as well, where we looked at this similar topic where what is really the youth is missing, why is the youth or why are adults still acting like children, for example. And this is because we miss this ceremony. We miss, like, you can have parents, but if these parents are not responsible themselves, you still have the same problem. But if you know, you recognize that you have parents that go beyond the physical, that is just a sacred masculine and a sacred feminine. It's Pachamama or Mother Gaia, the earth, the nature, and it's society, but then in its archetypical form, where communication and community and interacting with other people, that is all part of us as well, and that has to be recognized. Otherwise, I think we're still getting
The
stuck
the
and still
the
having a lot
pa-
of problems.
you think the pattern will go on forever and ever if we don't try and shift ourselves?
Yeah, it's we have to recognize that we create that pattern. That's the main thing. Like, the pattern will continue because we're not recognizing that we are the pattern.
Hmm.
So if we only take, like, I've somebody heard someone years ago say, yeah, I'm an active chess player. I'm an active chess piece, which he intended by is like, you take act, like you can be a chess piece where people move you around and be part of other
Part of the
people's
game.
game, but you
Yep.
can take an active role where you make your own decision, and then you become the game and you recognize for what it is. So it's a good analogy. Like, the chess pieces where are dwelling from the white part to the black part, which symbolizes duality. And there's a lot of different things that are interested about chess game. But I want to ask you, what is something that is required for a mental health to, especially in a young age? What are things that the people that go to puberty or go to transformational change, what is something that they require the most, you think?
I think as of right now, I think most people are awakening, becoming aware that we are a part of this game, as we can call it a game. I definitely think it's important to see that we are the players in this game, but that we're also the game ourselves. Like, like it's two sided. And as you mentioned earlier, the pattern. I think the pattern is just on, especially on social media. I think it's people reacting to each other constantly, over and over, over, just reacting to each other. And there's gonna be no stop. Like there's gonna be no stop, and that's why people need to see that um, it's not about everybody around us, but it's about us. You know, we need to learn to love and to live. You know, so we can help other people. You can only help other people by helping yourself first. You gotta always put yourself in the first place. But I think most people on social media, they're just trying to, like, let's say people are just trying to gain likes because they want other people to see them as their number one. You know, but it's important you see yourself as number one. That's why likes and followers and stuff, it's not important. But to some people that are in this illusion, it's very crucial. Apparently, I mean, like we live with those people, so we gotta understand them, and I do understand them in a certain way. But I'm aware that I don't want to be that way. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So then the focus should be, what do you want to be like? Because that's another key point. Like, people haven't found their purpose. This is one something that I talked on Common Solution and the second episode, is that people haven't found their purpose, or they're wandering around and not really finding and creating meaning into their lives because they haven't found a craftsmanship with a message. Like, something here, people here have found certain hobbies, something to cultivate, certain craftsmanships, but because they don't put a message into their craftsmanship, they still feel a disconnect because it's just putting in more beauty into the world, which is fine, of course. But if it doesn't carry any value, if it doesn't try to expand our paradigm, our way of outlooking at the world, through politics, to whatever message you're trying to spread, you just feel disconnected because you're making something nice, but what, I don't think we need a more red collar or more blue collar. I think we need somebody that just tells it how it is, but in a poetic manner, and not necessarily speaking it literally, but speaking it through art forms and through many different manners. But I just try to expand people's mind. I think this is the value of art. I think that is a very important factor in our um, in our generations, and people that we look up to are the artists. So maybe in the second part we can talk about the artists and their role on the youth, because this is something I've been thinking
Definitely.
about.
Definitely, but do you guys think that most of our youth, let's say in schools, they don't teach us like esoteric knowledge? Do you guys think that we as a youth get like miseducated?
Yeah, if I may respond, like John Taylor Gatto is a teacher in America, was teacher of the year, and he wrote a book called Dumbing Us Down. And he spoke about, like, what our education system is focused on um, is basically the economic situation that our world requires. So we will learn to fit into jobs and to fit into a system that is suitable at that moment. And this comes back to the Prussians, where the schooling system originated, and they were just focusing on how to get people into the military and just obedient. But we not taught really how to think for ourselves, how to handle the complex situations of life, how to engage with people, Also on a spiritual level, we haven't been taught anything. And he kept one sentence. If I can, I will put it in the video of a quote that was very fitting on what you're trying to or what you're asking here. But I definitely think there's that, and especially in the education system, I've been thinking, putting a lot of thought in what real education would be like if you're just young. What are some things you do have to learn? Because there are some things that you get learned that are useful, like mathematics is still useful, grammar is still useful, but the way it's represented, it's not always on the right timing. So sometimes it's too young that they get exposed to already learning language, even though they might not be ready for it, and that creates a limit on other aspect that the mind needs to develop, like creativity, for example. So there's like, especially creativity is very undervalued in education, and it's re-emerging. And there's, of course, like, education is a very big word, but there's many different forms of education. But overall, as a
Definitely.
regular education, the one that I went to as a kid, it is just suited towards what the economy needs.
And I
So
think
yeah.
that's where it starts. We're like as kids, we're getting prepared to be launched into this system. That's what I'm thinking. How I
We're
view.
prepared for an eternal nothing, because it's the carrot on the stick.
Hmm.
When when you're born and you're a baby, parents, they only raise you for a few years, and then you get sent to well, like a crash, like a baby daycare, and it's in preparation for kindergarten. And then in kindergarten, you learn the things you need to enter primary school, and after primary school, you go into high school, and high school prepares you for college. And in college, you can get a
Yep.
degree, and you can even get a graduate's degree afterwards. And if you're crazy enough, you can even become a professor and just keep on in the cycle forever and ever and ever of preparing people for a moment that never comes. Because as soon as you're launched into the system, like you said, and you end up in your first job where you want to start your career, then there's this deadline that's placed in front of you in the future that you have to make, and you have to reach this quota. And then after that, you wanna get a promotion, and so that's the carrot on the stick is always in front of you, and it's always guiding you. And I think Alan Watts said it really nicely when he said, at some point when you're like 45, maybe you're 55, and you've made it to vice president of the company, and you feel like, oh, I've made it. Like, I'm there. And then you realize, like, wait a second, I'm impotent. I don't even have any energy anymore. Now I have reached the destination of life, but I cannot enjoy it anymore.
Yep.
And so maybe what our education system should focus on is teaching children, teaching young adults to bring their focus, bring their concentration into the now, and focus more on the creative aspects of life. Like you guys said, I enjoyed drawing a lot as a kid, and I felt like there were a lot of ways in which we get to express ourselves, but then at some point it just stops. And I feel like it should be mandatory for people to express themselves. Otherwise, you get these creeps that live in basements.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. I can agree on that. I think that's where it starts in our education. Like like we just get misinformed. How I view education, and that's why I wanted to get out of school as fast as possible, because our education only views the world we can see with our eyes, but it doesn't look into here. Like, they don't teach us about the mind and then like stuff. I mean, like, they talk about psychology, of course, but not like becoming one with everything. They don't teach us that in school.
No, I think that will be, there's, they have to keep people separated, or keep this belief that they're separated, because that breeds a lot of fear. And if you have people in a fearful state, you can control them. And that's why, like, there would never, well, hopefully that would be, and eventually in the future, we will be taught that we are connected. But also, like, to defend the education system, like, if everyone would learn that from an early age, our society would definitely look a lot different. And I think it will only be different in a positive manner, because people would realize, something that is inherent in the golden rule in many religions would actually be embodied, because people will physically be aware that if they hurt somebody else, they're hurting themselves. But yeah, we'll probably, hopefully, going to make that switch, and people will have that realization. But for now, there's a lot of work to be done, which flows by itself, but it still has to be done. Is there some book that you would recommend to people, that helps you on your transformation, to
Yes,
orientate more
definitely.
positive?
Actually, it was one of the books you lent to me, which was what was it called? It was the Toltec civilization. What was the book called again?
Oh yeah, the
The
four
the
agreements.
four agreements. Yes, definitely. I read that one. I would definitely recommend that to anyone watching this. If you want to like better your life, I mean, like, yeah, I'd say better your life. Read that book and try to apply it to your life, and that's what I've been trying to do. I can uh, see when I saw myself a few years ago, I was like, who is this? You know, because I used to be like used to play a lot of video games. I get angry whenever I lose. I cuss at people. I fight with people. I don't go to school. I yell at people. But now, after I read that book and then after I started researching about the all the knowledge that there is out there, I see that we can only love people and accept them for who they are. There is no ugly. There is no beautiful. Like that doesn't exist. It's an illusion. So yeah, definitely that book I would recommend it.
Hmm. All right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's take a break. In the second part, we'll talk about some artists and influence on the youth. And yeah, see you guys in 5 minutes. Stay tuned, people. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This second part, we're going to talk about the artists of our generation, the artists of these times that influence our generation, and if this is happening in the right way or in the wrong way, or of course it depends on who and when. But there are many artists that are becoming more and more popular, and I am here surrounded with people that listen to a lot of commercial music, a lot of radio music, and it influences people's mentality. People are not fully aware of the implications of music and how powerful it is and how powerful it changes our minds, you know. So I am myself a very conscious to what I listen to, what type of music. Doesn't have to be lyrical, but it can also be like more instrumental, like Beethoven. I'm really inspired by Last Couple of the Days. But I also listen to a lot of hip hop, a lot of conscious hip hop. We have some content on the podcast in previous episodes about that. But I do think that like the rules that are um, idols, you know, the artists that are very popular, they have a certain responsibility, a bigger responsibility than a beggar on the street. So we can talk about what is this responsibility, what would be a good way shower, a good example for of a person that is an artist. What do you think of this, Hugo?
Rihanna.
Uh,
First, let's
Rihanna.
start about
Yeah, I think Rihanna is a great example.
Rihanna.
Rihanna as an artist, she came from Barbados, and she made it really big as a pop star, you know, making pop music, mainstream music. However, she turned right back around and took all of that money that she received from the companies, the production companies, and I think she started dozens of charities, and I'm not exaggerating, dozens of charities.
Wow,
And
really?
yeah, and then she started businesses. She made more money and she put it into even more charities. So like yeah, you can do a lot. And if you just pick an example of people that really use their money to help others out, yeah, I think Rihanna is a great example.
Definitely, it's great. I didn't know that. I think we should start off with what really is music. I think we can view music in a lot of ways. I think certain tones do something with the human mind. like frequencies. Frequencies, but I think also words. Words have a certain how would I say it? The words influence the mind in some way. And then I also think music changes our mood. Let's say if we listen to party music all day long, then at the end of the day, what do we want to do? If we listen to all that music, we want to party, of course. But if we listen to music about people, I don't know, let's say rapping about killing themselves, or being depressed, being anxious, at the end of the night, how do we feel? We feel anxious because the music does something with our mind. So I definitely think that's important, to have like knowledge of what does music with our mind. And one rapper I'm a fan of, who's pretty huge nowadays, he suddenly passed out of nowhere. Pretty tragic that he got shot outside a bike store. I'm actually wearing a t-shirt of him right now. His name is XXXtentacion. And why I'm so inspired by this guy is because he mentions depression, like anxiety, those type of mental health illnesses. He mentions them in their music, so people get aware of it. And I think that's why a lot of people listen to his music. But not only that, if you like research into this rapper, you will see that he studies the law of the universe. His third eyes is definitely opened. That's why I researched this guy, and it's definitely interesting because he has a lot of followers. But nowadays, there's not a lot of people who rap about that kind of stuff and get big with it. You know, another example would be Juice WRLD. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's also very big. He has like maybe 40 million listeners on Spotify, something. So it's pretty big.
Yeah, I think like we are less. I know XXXTentacion, but I think overall the rappers are speaking to a little bit younger generation, maybe 20 years old. They are very popular. But I think like what music is the imitation of our heart. Our heart is the first rhythm, and it pulsates a certain rhythm, and we try as humans to imitate also like sounds that are in nature, like birds, and there's many different outlets of music, not just by humans, but it's a form of language, of communication, and you can transmit certain energies through music. Like nowadays we just you listen to music recreational, but if you look at like civilization not even that long ago, they will only listen to music in a ceremony or in a ritual, and it would enhance the whole effect and would get a certain trend, almost a transcendental or in a transcendental state, and we'll have mystical experiences. But for now, we're listening all the time. So yeah, sure, you feel great, but it's not like you're totally
Definitely.
out there. So really, people have to really recognize how powerful music is, and it is some of the things that I'm really addicted to. I have to be honest. I have to sit here on a chair where talk about my addictions, but I think like music is for me a very big addiction. I have like 4,000, no 5,000 songs on my phone, and almost listen whole day. And if I cannot listen, then I'm thinking about listening it. Not I'm also
I
of
can
course thinking
definitely
about
agree.
anything. So it's very
I can
very
definitely agree
powerful,
on that.
very powerful.
Yes,
It keeps your
I can.
level at a certain level, and keeps you focused, keeps your head straight. Like here I have hear so many what we would call a distraction, or people that are talking about things that are less important, and I can focus in and listen to my music, and they inspire me to think about stuff that are really pressing matters, like what is happening in the world. And I think our attention has to go towards this, and ultimately what's even more important is where attention comes from, and that is our spirit, our soul, and that projects attention to many different places. But I hope that people will recognize that we have like a shadow projection. We project, oh, this person is so amazing. We cannot do what they can, but that's how our relation is with artists most of the time. And that's a little bit unfortunate because they are meant to inspire us and look like, okay, this is something that we can do, or we can do something similar in different manners. It doesn't have to be imitation. It shouldn't be imitation. It should be something authentic self. But the book you were talking about in the previous part about Don Miguel, the Four Agreements, he has like a saying that I'm an artist and the art is my life. And I think like music is trying to imitate life.
Could you
And
repeat the title
project
for me? Sorry to interrupt. I didn't hear the title.
the Four Agreements, the book that was where we were talking about earlier. This is written by Don Miguel, who is part of the Toltec tradition, and he spoke that sentence of saying that his life is like his art, because you cannot judge it ultimately, and that's the thing about music. We all have different tastes in music, but it all the underlying principle, the frequencies that lie underneath the ultimate message, that will be for everyone the same, unless of course you speak a different language. But like it.
There's one saying. Sorry for interrupting you.
Mhm.
There's one saying that I always remembered is there is hundreds of languages around the world, but everybody can understand the language of music. Everybody can understand that. I think that's the wonderful thing about music. And as we mentioned in the first part, we were talking about the flow state, about being in the now and living in the now. Do you guys think music um, gets us in like the flow state? Because I definitely think it does.
In a way, yes. Yes, in a way it does, but it also carries you away at the same time. Because I have noticed that sometimes I look for music as a distraction from my own thoughts, because when there's no music playing, the silence is deafening, and then it's just me with my thoughts. And then I don't
Hmm.
like my thoughts, and then I'm like, oh, screw those thoughts. I'm gonna put on Mozart, and you affect your mood critically. And sometimes though, it's good to learn how to do it without music as well.
Definitely, definitely.
Very, very important key that you're mentioning there, and that came also back on what I was trying to say with like being boredom. People out of boredom grabbed for their phones, and then they like don't want to deal with themselves. And I think like one of the what an artist should do, if we keep it on that point, on that subject, like artists should encourage those capabilities, being comfortable with ourselves, which for if you have a popular artist, you will not be able to, because most of the time they're surrounded by people that are just patting them on the back. Oh, such an amazing person. But that's really bad if you want to work on yourself. You have to be surrounded with people that point things out to you you don't want to hear. This is some things that we integrate into ourselves. And once we're sitting by ourselves, we have these thoughts of, maybe I am not as amazing as I previously thought, which is for me a very uncomfortable thought, because I'm amazing, you know. Why could I say anything else? But I'm not. In actuality, I shit in a toilet just like everyone else. So I am not unique, and that's the thing about artists. Like ultimately, they're humans as well, but they have
Just the
such an
same as us.
exposure.
They're just the
I think
same
I
as
think
us.
what sets artists apart is a level of technique. And so when people develop technique, it's only possible through focus and through attention. So a lack of distraction and boredom, but a dedication towards something so that you get really good at it. And that's what separates amateurs from artists. And then when you have that separation, that's where the responsibility lies of the artist. They should just be focused on their craft, and then the amateur should be focused on their technique
Hmm.
and focus.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, I can agree on that. And also the rapper I was talking about, XXXtentacion. Not only is
Doesn't
he
roll off the tongue, does it?
yeah, 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 yeah. It's a hard to pronounce. But not only is he like making music that focuses on like the spirit and stuff, But also, what I see a lot of artists doing is they buy, I don't know, expensive jewelry. They just buy basically bullshit with it. But what I've seen him doing is he goes to like schools and he shares toys. He just gives toys to kids, and he made it like a challenge. So then loads of people started doing it. So he not only did he share those toys, but he also created a challenge for other people to like look around and give to people that don't have a lot. And I definitely think it's great when an artist does that, but we don't see that a lot nowadays. It's more upcoming, but we don't see it a lot.
Okay, yeah.
Artists have a big influence. They're like role models. You know, people idolize artists. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say some artist is wearing a jacket. Oh, I gotta buy that jacket. Oh, he
Yeah.
bought new shoes. Oh, I gotta buy those new shoes as well. You
Yeah.
know, and it's just it's
But
not good.
also with drugs, like a lot of artists, they promote like drug use, and this pulls in people to act a similar way. They're like teachers. I think like the what MC, like a rapper call himself an MC, is a master of ceremony. So he has a responsibility to lead the people in the right direction, and this is what he does through using his microphone and speaking what is relevant in their situation, what it's like to live there, and also what I was saying in the beginning, like seeing potentiality. How can we change things in a positive manner? But these two things have to be seen, and I always prefer, instead of just seeing the problem, is providing a sol what I now call a solution, to see look at artists that are doing this. You mentioned a few names. For me, it's Immortal Technique for sure. He built it a with his money for his house. Sorry, with his money from his music, he built a school in Afghanistan for parents with sorry, with children without a parents, and he yeah really like made the difference by that. And he is also very like self-sustainable, and he's a very like he was very violent in the past, but now he's he's a good person overall. And I follow him on many things, and he's for me a very big inspiration. But it's not for me, oh, he can do it and I cannot. No, it's for me like an
Hmm.
initial reenactment, or a draw for me to be more like this, like being inspired to also make a difference, and not just know, and also knowing that I'm not making music or making this podcast or whatever I'm making for the money. No, I'm making it because I want to change society in a positive manner. And he reinvests all that money that he got from his music, which are all his music are all positive as well. He uses that for positive ends. I think those people should be more, shown up there. And he doesn't have any record player or record company, which is another big issue in the big global industries of music. And they keep the filter on the message. And in the 80s, and there were some times where it was more opened, but it's there's sometimes some music popping up the radio about some more conscious stuff, like Black
You
Eyed
guys
Peas
know
back in
about
the
the band
day.
Muse? Have you ever heard of the band Muse?
Yeah, Muse
No
also.
idea.
Very, very conscious lyrics.
Hmm. So is this how do you respond to this, Hilke? Like, is it for you a reason to also make your own music, or is it just inspiration? Like, it's more their lifestyle that you're drawn towards.
I think the things they rap about or they make songs about definitely trigger me in some extent. Like X has a song called Moonlight, which is about the moonlight, you know, and then most youth they just sing and they have no idea what they're talking about, you know, but he's still providing the message of like research the moon, you know. So I definitely think that's great. And tapping into what you just said about drug abuse, people see these artists taking drugs, but they don't know with what intention they're taking the drugs. Let's say someone is using psychedelica to witness another realm that we don't know, but these youths, they're just using it because the artist is using it, you know. So we only see one side of artists. We only see one side.
Yeah, that's the same thing that happens on Instagram or at plus social platforms when we just see people's exterior faces, and tragedies happen like with the guy from the singer from Linkin Park where he killed himself out of a depression. So you have to act always with a smile, even though you might not intend it that way. You didn't, you know, if I don't feel like I'm just gonna smile, I'm not gonna do it because I'm not gonna pretend. And most people they do pretend a lot, and of course I have to pretend to a certain extent to protect myself, to protect my energy. But I do it consciously, so I know that I'm pretending, and this is just sometimes we're just acting different roles, and a role that an artist plays is being a role model for people that are still lost in their path and just trying to figure out meaning, because that's what we're passing through our music. I think like what ultimately positively is that we're trying to we get something across. We're starting something, and it's not just oh random party, but we're doing it because there's a need for it. And I think like Tupac said it as well, like where we don't need more entertainers, we need more thinkers, we need more intellects, we need more engineers. Those are the people that we need more. And a lot of people they react to, oh, I just see an artist and they also want to have this dream. I also want to be a rapper and make this big dream and having all these women and cars and all that good stuff. But then the reality kicks in and it's a lot different. And it's like the reason why this platform I hopefully will grow slowly and not just me getting millions of subs in one day, because I would freak out with that responsibility. I already have a very big responsibility with the work that I do and being surrounded with people that haven't opened their eyes through the third eye fully yet, which we can also talk about because you're mentioning about XXXtentaction, which also did this, is that you have a certain vision. A lot of people they don't. They're like what they call in hip hop the dumb, deaf, and blind. Like they're still wandering around, but they're not really seeing the full multi-dimensionality that is surrounding them, and what lies underneath reality. You know that you can see in the Matrix, and there are some artists that do, and they really make a very big impact on what's happening. And you can see like something that is very important to mention is narratives. There's always different narratives. The mainstream media gives a certain narrative. I give a certain narrative right now. uh, Conspiracy theory is a certain narrative, new age certain narrative. But if we're not aware that these are certain narratives and that we are adapting, or that we are believing these narratives, and we're not really taught to question them, we're just passing on what we, and I said this before, we just learn from whoever passed
Yeah,
by us,
we
but we haven't processed.
yeah, we just learn what somebody else already learned.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I think also the thing about music is on this planet we have a lot of cultures. Let's say we have a Western world, we have an Eastern world, we have a whatever there is. There's a lot of cultures, and I think in music there's also a lot of cultures. Like we're only mentioning like hip hop now, and then like party music, but there's also classic music. There's music intended with frequencies to like to like raise your vibration. What do you guys think about that? Like I think music is sort of mimicking the real world here with all the cultures we have.
I think drum music is amazing for that because the vibrations they really translate into your gut, and so you're having a physical experience to these vibrations, taking kind of coming at you through the air.
Definitely, I think drums are like that's a good example for like physical because you can feel the drums kicking in your veins. There's also music that you don't consciously feel, but unconsciously, but they're still there. For example, what I did is I listen to a frequency when I go to sleep, and it like helps me lucid dream, you know, and take control of my dream. And that's what I'm trying to do.
That's
Yeah,
amazing. Is that something you find on YouTube when you're talking about like the certain frequencies that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Certain frequencies. The one I listen to a lot is the God frequencies. I don't know which frequency it is, how many hertz. Not sure, but definitely great. And if you want to like get into like lucid dreaming and take control of your dreams,
yeah. There's also a lot of like incorrectness that people say, oh, this frequency, and it like they say like three six
definitely,
hundred 39 frequency, and it's like there's not really any validity, and like sure there's numerology behind it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that frequency carries the same weight. So that's all like New Age influenced.
well, yeah,
Where
there's
the
definitely like a big core of truth in there when we're talking about the music of the spheres that go all the way back to Plato and the Egyptians, where there's these tones that they go up in a scale, so that when you take a string and you duplicate the string, you cut it in half, and you do it again and again. Then when you pluck the string, it plays a tone, and you create scales by halving the length of the string. That way, pianos and most of our musical instruments were created. So I guess that's a real thing about it.
hmm, yeah, for sure. I think
You see some of them that are higher, some of them are lower, and some of them you feel more in your gut, and some of them might be more in your head.
Hmm. Yeah, I think like overall, like music in our that should be more on the upfront is like healing music, because and it doesn't have to be something specific, but I think the ultimate aim of music should be evolved around this because the artist is using music as a therapy, as a way to deal with their emotional issues, and people are drawn to their work because they want to heal in a certain way, and I am myself very interested in healing, and then for personal reason, but I also believe it is in all levels. It's necessary. You can do many things. You can have lucid dreams. You can ask to project. You can do whatever, or you can just do more regular, like play saxophone. But if you're not able to like heal yourself, or and also teach the healing to others, and that is bestly done through music. I don't know, like it's a lot of things will just circle around and we're not still not getting anywhere because that I think like that's why I'm drawn to like conscious hip hop is like they're carrying a message, and this message that speaks about many different ways, but a lot of this like if I need healing I listen to and not just hip hop, but like there's many music that are really healing. And Beethoven is for me a very beautiful one that is really healing because it was based on frequencies. These people understood that frequencies are definitely like a very huge influence. If you use these frequencies in the right manner, you can heal people. But if you're using it, abusing it, you can put them outside of their not in tune with themselves. So you can put a lower frequency, which puts them more their perception outside of reality, and they will get more disconnected and feel more disconnected.
There's
And
already ways in which sound is being used in modern medicine, and it's being used every single day. And you can imagine if you have something solid inside of your body, and this can be a kidney stone, or it could be something else, maybe even a tumor. What they can do is they can actually aim sound waves in a particular part of your body and break up, dissolve, and kind of break apart things like kidney stones and other solid objects in your body. And it's incredible because it's just one of the examples that sound can heal. Because we know that once music influences you into a certain mood, then when you reach that mood, your body actually reaches a self restorative mode.
I can agree on that. The type of healing music I like to listen to is Tibetan bowls. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tibetan bowls, but basically it's someone hitting the ball with the stick and then going like like around it, and you can hear like a woman singing in the background. It's just so healing. I just close my eyes, and it's like I can I can feel the divine in that music. But that's for me. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's it's the most beautiful music in this world for me.
Oh
There's
yeah, I
a
know what you mean. Yeah.
lot that went into the design of Christian cathedrals that had to do with resonance. And so a lot of these buildings are actually designed to amplify the sound of the choir and generate this kind of religious experience almost, so that people would keep returning to the church to get that religious kind of spiritual or psychedelic experience where they feel this vibration passing through their body that's making them feel ecstatic and euphoric. That's another way that music can be utilized for these purposes.
Yes, it's beautiful. I definitely agree on that. Like I've never been to the church myself, but I can definitely agree on that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's like the buildings of churches and many different sacred places uses sonetic structure where there's like the walls are not corners but they're round, and they know about that stuff, and they know that can create such an powerful effect on people. And that's why I think it's a very important that we talk on this and that we give an outline for people to like, okay, people, be more aware of what you're listening to. You don't have to have the same music taste as we do, but at least listen to music that really sparks up your soul and provides you with some healing and some orientation or some conscious raising awareness. That's what I'm hoping for, and that's why I'm very driven to that people listen more to music consciously. But I cannot force anything. It can also be ego control, because sometimes I want to play the music that I listen to because I have this intention that I want to show people that there's not just, party party party, but there's more things in life. And I do this through communication, through music, because it can speak way better than I can. And it's very powerful. And yeah, I think we're circling in on arguments anyway, but it's no,
I would
it's a
ask
very important
people,
one.
I would ask people to ask themselves when they're listening to music, how does how does this make me feel? How does this make me feel? Because that's very important. If um, if I'm watching a video clip of nothing against her, but this lady called Billie Eilish, and her eyes are bleeding tar, and the sound is the music is about depression. I feel horrific when I'm consuming that type of entertainment, I guess. And some people like to wallow in their sadness, and sadness is a real experience, and we can't neglect it. But you have to be conscious of this when you're choosing what music you're listening to, because you can also get stuck in a pattern that's not helping you.
Definitely, you need to be careful with what type of music you surround yourself with, and not only music, also people. If you are surrounded by a lot of toxic people, eventually you will become toxic yourself because it will eat you. So that's why I try to surround myself with people that love me and people that have good intentions. Also, one thing I read in the Four Agreements was that words are magic in some sort of way. By that I mean, let's say a rapper says, I don't know, I'm gonna kill you. And then somebody else is thinking, oh, he's gonna kill me. In that sort of way, words can have like a magical function, because we are constantly listening to these words being casted into the universe, and we will tap into those words, and it will affect our mood, as you just said. Like if we keep hearing about sad stuff all day, we're gonna feel sad at the end of the day.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I was just sort of looking up the quadrivium. I was talking earlier about the trivium, like learning how to think for yourself. like after they done that, they teach you this trivium system. They would teach you the quadrivium, which first has arithmetic, is the study of quantity involving the combination of numbers through addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Then geometry, a branch of mathematics concerned with shape, size, relative precision, and the properties of space. And then the third one would be music, an art form which employs vibration, rhythm, dynamics, and the interplay between sound and silence as its mediums for expression. And then the last one would be astronomy, a science that deals with the study of celestial objects such as stars, planets, comets, nebulas, and galaxies. And it's all like accumulated in there. Like they didn't see, okay, music is something different from astronomy, or geometry is different from music. No, they saw correspondences between these fields. Um, and yeah, I don't know if that's a thing that most artists are aware of, that what they're doing with music has an effect on multiple levels and can be measured through arithmetic, can be seen through geometry, can be experienced through music, and also like in the start can also be, well, they did like some recordings of like the Mars and what sound it releases, and they also have the music of the spheres from Pythagoras. So there's a lot of interesting stuff. I just feel like I had to share that because like music is not just, we're very like talking on music like it's separate from something else, but there's a lot of intertwine with many different fields. And yeah, it will I think it comes from the muses, from the Greece, the word music, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
Yes, yes. Going back to that, I want to ask you guys a question. I don't want to like tap into conspiracy too much, but there's like a conspiracy saying that some artists like they like sell their soul to the devil, and then they get like let's say for instance Katy Perry. They say Katy Perry, she sold her soul, signed a contract, and then she got millions of listeners. Do you guys think in some extent that that is true, or what are you guys thoughts on that? Because I definitely think
I believe in the
I,
devil.
I definitely think some tones are what's the word,
Mm.
not brainwashing but hypnotizing. I think some tones are hypnotizing people.
Yeah, no, I think like it's symbolically set, so it's not like physically went to the devil and they signed a contract, but
No, no,
they're
no, no.
working for their ego, and they're
Hmm.
working for self-centeredness. That's what it basically means, and they're focused on materialism. So people say they sell their souls because they, what music comes from is the soul. It is something that makes you unique, and you only carry that value. But you're selling it away for a message that is negative, that is more demonic, more evil in or malevolent in its ends, and that is what they mean. Like, so if you go to these big industries of music industries, they have filtrations, and they will say like this you can't put up your music and this you can. So it's always best to stay independent. That's what I'm doing with my podcast. That's what I inquire other people to do. I had met a rapper here. He asked me for money to, he's a good like freestyle rapper, but he has a stereotypical view that every white person has a lot of money. But I'm currently short as well. So I said to him, like, sure, I can help you out with philosophy, can help you out with inspiration, but I cannot give you any money. Maybe in the future, if I have that capability, but you have to stay independent. You have to put in the work yourself. Because you are like asking other people, you just have a shortcut, and sure, you have your microphone and all that stuff, but they'll control what you're going to say. Because people, if once they invest in you, then you're not free. Like you're just have to do what they're told, otherwise you have a conflict. um, so yeah, no, it's important that you stay independent and work on your own stuff. And sure, if you ask people money, then you should be thinking on what can you do for them in return, because it's always an exchange. Sure, I might have more money and you have something else that you can offer of value, but it's never ask anyone for money or go to these big industries and get a huge exposure. You have these idols on television where they're like very talented, dedicated people to singing, go there and sing a nice song, and then they'll get very famous, and a month later you don't hear anything about them anymore because they didn't build any fan base by themselves. They just get a shortcut, and they just send a message out from, okay, this guy can sing really long, but it's not like it's very pulling by it, because they're not their authenticity. You have to build, and eventually you get recognized for what all work you've been doing. That's just what I hope with this podcast will happen. But it's not a popularity
Yes.
contest. It's more about
What you
getting
said
the message out there.
what you said about the rapper asking for money, eventually knowledge is worth more than money, you know. Money isn't worth anything in the end.
No, that's like a lot of people have this materialistic view. He's still in that paradigm of ego control, where oh, it's about women, it's about money, because he listens to a lot of music that's like, yo, what's up, yo, what up, and then they're like, ass, no, fuck these bitches, and that promotes that mentality. So if you're
Yeah.
engaging with another person, you still carry that mentality that, oh, this is how I should act towards them. This is how I should treat women. This is if I meet somebody else, I'll meet them for this reason to get eventually till this end. But it's all a dream. It's all like a fantasy dream. And
Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way.
no.
And
It's
then
very sad.
especially a lot of lyrics nowadays in these songs, what you just said, like fuck these bitches. But do you really think these rappers, they have like a lot of women? Of course not. They are just like us, but because they say it, people think they actually have it, but it's not true. You know, it's just an illusion.
Well, yeah, no, they could have it, but it's not like having it will not feed your soul, will not make your life meaningful. It just gives you a pleasure for a certain time, and you'll feel good about yourself. But in actuality, you're much more empty than a person that might not have anything, living in Africa or whatever. They might have much more meaning into their lives, because that's what life is about. Immortal Technique said the purpose of life is life with a purpose, or rather die for a cause and live a life that is worthless. It's like this is the only thing that really matters, and that's what people have to realize. And once they realize this, they don't will to be. I think they will not be drawn to drinking alcohol as much or smoking weed, because you found something much more valuable that feeds your soul into levels that no drugs can. But it's not like I'm perfect on this way, but I have seen it for Vision doing the DMT and having to reinstall my mentality. My habits came back, and I realized what habits really are. It's part of our ego. It's part of our structure, our underlying structure of uh, what we think about ourselves, our self-conception, and thereby we will constantly want to uh, re reinstate our own beliefs about who we are, and by constantly doing the same repetition, because this is who we are. That's what we tell ourselves. This is who we are. I'm a smoker. I'm a drinker. I am whatever, but it's all identification. You can change it anytime. You can do everything, but only if you do it consciously. You can
Hmm.
smoke weed. You can drink alcohol. You can even have sex with women. You can do whatever, God forbid. But if you're doing it consciously, that means you have a message behind what you're doing, and are just doing it impulsively, and then it's
There's
not an
this
issue.
great story about that. There's this great story. There's these two men. They live at a yoga ashram in India with the guru, and they're learning from him. And the two of them, they're craving to smoke. They feel like they want to smoke the ganja, and they wonder, this is really tough because we can't do it at the ashram. So maybe because we don't want to leave the ashram, maybe we should ask the guru if we can smoke. You know, but maybe we should ask separately. We shouldn't go together. We should ask separately. And they do, and so they both go and see the ashram. And so the next day, the man, he's sitting down and he sees his friend walk back in the ashram, and he's smoking like a big fat joint. And so he runs up to his friend and he's like, "Oh my God, how are you smoking in the ashram? Like we were gonna ask the how can we like meditate while we smoke?" And so the man, he said, "What do you mean? The guru told me it was okay. What did he tell you?" And so the first man, he says, "Well, I went to the guru and I asked him if I could smoke and then meditate. I would meditate and then smoke." And the guru said, "No, you shouldn't smoke while you're meditating. That's not a good idea." And so he's like, "Okay, so why are you smoking?" And the other friend, he's like, "Well, I asked him if it was okay if I meditated while I smoked." And the guru said, "Yeah, sure, go right ahead." And so if you do things mindfully, then maybe it's not so bad. But when you're not really present in the moment, it's a waste.
Definitely. What I can add on to that is always do things consciously. What I do for myself is whenever I wake up, I'm grateful for a new day in the universe that another day was given to me. And whenever I eat food, I'm thankful for the food I eat. Let's say, for instance, a piece of meat. I'm thankful because in the end, a animal died for my need, you know, because I have a need to eat. so, so yeah, I'm very conscious of that, and I always try to be thankful, and I try to make others aware that they should be thankful for their lives and everything they have, and not take anything for granted. I definitely think in the Western society, people there's a lot of greed in the Western society because people want more and more. That it's never enough. Whenever they have something, they just go on to the next challenge instead of appreciating what they have.
I think that's a good way to end it. Is there something else you want to add to our whole conversation, or something in general? Something you want people to be
Um,
engaged with?
in in general, anyone who's watching this, I think you guys are on a good way to exploring the world, becoming more conscious. What I can say is be good to other people, love other people, be conscious with what you're doing every day, try and thrive. So the world becomes a lot more light instead of dark nowadays.
Exactly. I think that it's important for us to fight polarization wherever we see it. We cannot let society polarize us, push us apart. We need to detach from politics, daily politics that are going on. It does not matter for us. And we should really be focusing on, holding the light.
Yeah, but also integrating our darkness, because sure, light is good, but we also have darkness, and if we're neglecting our darkness, I think we'll become back where we started when we started drinking again. So people, if you experience something about yourself you don't like, just accept that it's there. This is what will bring you eventually towards the light, because darkness is just there also to teach you something. So it's all about integration. So Hielke, I want to thank you for your time, and
Yes, thank you as well.
yeah, and Tjeerd as well for being here as well, and people that are watching, thank you. And yeah, keep posted. We have more content coming out soon. We're on Discord. We're on many different platforms, and yeah, so eternal love, and thank you again.
Namaste.